Hi, I'm Lindsay, and we're presenting on Mexican Americans. This is Carla, Ashley, Skylar, and Rachel. Okay, here we go. All right, the historical background. In the southwest region of the U.S., or New Mexico, was settled by Spaniards in 1598, settling the Mexican territory. Before 1854, a large part of the western U.S., including much of Arizona, California, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, Utah, Wyoming, were all part of Mexico. Though there was war, treaties and land purchased roughly 100,000 Mexicans. They came through and under the jurisdiction of the U.S. And then after the U.S.-Mexican War, a treaty provided land and cultural rights to those Americans, those of Mexican descent, but the rights were never fully honored, and Mexican Americans in these areas have become economically segregated and a working-class group. By 1890, there was need for cheap labor, and it had drawn 75,000 Mexicans to the U.S. And after the Mexican Revolution in 1910, there was another massive wave of immigrants sought to seek safety here. And with the Great Depression in the 1920s, there's an estimated of 80,000 Mexicans who came each year, and they split the families and communities apart. Despite the regular cycles of the immigration and deportation, millions of Mexicans have continued to make the United States their home. Here they have played a vital role in our culture and economy, filling many blue-collar jobs and serving their country honorably in the World War II, Korean, Vietnam, and of course the Gulf Wars.
Okay, I'm going to talk to you guys about space, communication, time, social organization, environmental control, and biological variations in the Mexican American culture. So for communication, Spanish is the primary language, and then English is the secondary language spoken by them. For touch, they are characterized as tactile in their relationships and embrace or hold hands, while walking is common among close friends or people of the same gender. For females, it is important for them to remain modest, especially around the opposite sex, and not to expose themselves. They may engage in small talk before approaching the business of the interview, so it's important to basically have a small talk with them before asking them any personal information so they feel comfortable with you. And then also eye contact is very important, especially when children are talking to their elders, to show them respect. For space, smooth or harmonious interpersonal relationships described by courtesy, respect, in the absence of critical or confrontational behavior. In the early years of the child's life, parents are more permissive, warm, and caring with all their children. And as they get older, they expect the girls to remain closer to home as the males move away to gain their masculinity. Females prefer a healthcare provider that is of the same gender due to the modesty and wanting to be modest around others. And if they do have a healthcare provider that is a male, then the healthcare provider needs to be sensitive to the female's modesty. Also, if a Mexican American pregnant female, they will not want a male, so they will request to have a female take care of them. For time, they are present orientation of time and are known as being unable to incorporate the future into their plans. So flexibility and creativity may be needed to work with the difference of time orientation. They may be late to an appointment, not due to not being compliant, but because they're more focused on their current tasks, such as work, instead of their future appointment. For social organization, the family is the most valued and the main focus of social identification. Usually they're larger families with a mom and dad and with 4 or more kids. They're usually nuclear families who live separately, but extended family also might live with them. Males are considered to be the head of the household and the decision maker. The mom is the primary role of keeping the family together and united. Divorce is very uncommon among the Mexican Americans, and teen pregnancy is more common in this culture. When a death occurs, it is believed that it is the will of God, and spiritual beliefs and family involvement are very important in the end-of-life care for the family. For environmental control, external locus of control, they believe that external forces operate in many social and individual circumstances. Distress can result from close family ties, but it is offset by the family's support and responsibility to the patient. The patient may have a greater feeling of personal control, which helps to decrease their anxiety. For biological variations, their skin color can vary from a natural tan to a darker brown. People with lighter skin color are more from the Spanish ancestry, and darker skin are more from the Indian ancestry. Hair is usually dark, curly, wavy, or straight. Diseases that are more common in the ethnic group are diabetes, hypertension, pernicious anemia, melanoma, communicable diseases such as respiratory tract infections, nutritional problems, hepatitis C, and childhood obesity.
So I will be speaking to you guys about traditional perceptions of health, illness, and healing. So first of all, health altogether is really based off of their self-efficacy and social support that increases physical activity, mainly for women. So you'll probably hear someone, oh, voy a ir a ver mi comadre, which really just means that they're going to go visit like their friend or whatever. Most of the time, women do not drive in this culture, so the physical activity part will more than likely pertain to the amount of time and distance that it takes for them to walk from one destination to the other, but they won't necessarily include physical activity while they're together. Some might cook, which depending on what they cook could be physical activity because the kitchen gets hot. But other than that, nothing, like they don't go jogging together or anything like that. And also elderly women, they are not expected to cook anymore and they're kind of more prized, so they will come together, more family will bring them, and then they kind of just stay and chit chat and watch over the grandchildren and things like that. So health is also believed to be a result of good luck or a reward from God. Health is really spiritual and religious with the Hispanic culture, especially the Mexican culture. So they also think that illness may be a result of misfortune or a punishment from God or some kind of imbalance of hot or cold. I know that growing up, if we had just taken a shower and it had to be a hot shower, that you could not go outside after you took a shower. Like, that's it, you were done for the day, you stay inside the house, you do not go out into the cold. So part of the more punishment from God's side has to do when multiple tragedies happen consecutively in the family. Like, you'll hear someone say that, oh yeah, she just had a heart attack and her dad just died, and now they have to move out of the house or something like that. People think that because those events are so grand that something external has to be involved in um, causing those. Also, you might hear people say, ay, qué mal que alguien le hizo brujería. So they might think that someone put a spell on them, because that's how bad the tragedy might be sometimes, is that there's no other way to explain it other than some greater bad power being involved, because God wouldn't cause something like this. So again, prolonged exposure to hot or cold, same thing. Don't walk around the house with no socks on. Always have your shoes on, and not for safety, it's really just to keep your feet warm, your hands warm, your head warm. Those are all very important. Warmth is good and cold is negative, which is also why during the first year of life a child is kept close to the mother and wrapped up. And it's also been said that it's really good for the child to remain in the home for at least 30 days after birth, just because exposure to the outside, to where the cold is, can cause the child harm. Physical and mental illness are dealt with uniquely in this culture. Curanderismo is more of a practice of someone that you go see that has a very wide variety of techniques that they use to take care of someone. They're not a licensed physician, they're not a nurse of any kind like that, but they view illness from a religious and social aspect, so they kind of take care of the person holistically, and there's not really any science behind it. However, us as nurses can view them and, oh, okay, there is some, rhyme or reason to them. Not all of them, but most of them do or can be backed up that way. For example, an herbero uses herbs and spices. Some people drink chamomile tea to go to sleep. An herbero would do the same thing, just, in Spanish. Curanderos are believed to have a God-given gift no way, shape, or form do we believe that curanderos are a part of God or at the same level of God. They're just kind of like someone here on earth that has, like how people say, oh, I have a gift for math or things like that. They have a gift for kind of viewing the individual whole and just kind of finding what the problem is. Um, Most of the time, they are consulted before medical contact is made, only because it's more personal that way. It's less dehumanizing, and they more than often, especially in Mexico, when they live in like the pueblos and things like that, they will know the family. And even here in the U.S., that if it's a small, tight knit community, they will all know each other, and they're also part of the community here and there. So this kind of straightens the client's sense of control over their situation because, like I said, if you have multiple things going on, obviously we can relate to that. Sometimes it does feel like we are out of control, and as humans, we kind of just feel that having a little say in what's going on in our lives is going to make us feel better for the most part. Um, they're thought to have power over witches, which is back to the brujeria thing that I was telling you guys about, only because curanderos are considered to be good people because they're mainly helping people out. What I do want to focus on is mal ojo. So that's pretty much when an individual who is believed to be coveted looks over a child but doesn't necessarily touch the child. So it's like if you go into a hospital room and there's a child there and you say, oh, what a pretty baby, but you don't necessarily touch the child or show any affection, it's pretty much that you're not being genuine, that you really don't care how the child looks, that you're just kind of jealous almost that the child looks that way. So it's believed that that puts bad like energy onto the child, which Hispanics believe will cause headaches, fever, crying, diarrhea, or restlessness. They also believe that the child can deteriorate from this condition by coughing severely and vomiting, and they can die if they're not treated. The way that they believe it's treated is either the person who did this act goes and touches the child and interacts with the child and shows, you know, genuine acts towards the child, or a hen's egg is mixed with water in a bowl and placed under the head of the bed of the child. It's also feared that the physician will misdiagnose the child and the child's condition can worsen. Lastly, as a nurse, I feel that it's our job to always listen no matter what culture it is, not just Mexican or Hispanic or anything like that. Get your information. It's important for us to know what's going on and what they mean. So if we don't know what it is, that's fine. Take a minute or two, go find out what it is, and then come back and interact. I think it's also very important to bring validity to any kind of patient that we have and whatever their beliefs are, because at the end of the day, it's them that's getting taken care of and it's them that believes these things. They're not trying to put anything on you, but whatever their truth is, that's valid to them, and our job is to withhold that for them. Also, don't write someone off just because something sounds weird or different. Nothing is ever weird, it's just different. And sometimes it might be something that we're interested in that we didn't even know existed. So always have an open mind. And mainly what Hispanics or Mexicans are asking for in their treatment is herbal medicine, spiritual and prayer, healing, massage, relaxation techniques, and chiropractic. So if it's put down in plain English like that, that's pretty much what we do as well, or we want when we're getting taken care of. So that's my spiel. Just be nice and open to everyone and try to incorporate that in your practice.
Okay, so when it comes to interaction with healthcare providers, they don't usually do it unless absolutely necessary. Most Hispanic Americans tend to either self-medicate as they see fit or seek a curandero for their health needs. When interaction is made, the healthcare providers should be aware that family members, such as both immediate and extended, will be involved in the care in order for it to be effective. The healthcare provider will also know that family values and roles are paramount in the treatment and recovery of care. If in the event that a patient is uncooperative during medical care, then it may be appropriate for the patient to solicit the opinions of other family members regarding further actions to take. When it comes to healthcare providers and children, it is advised that they do touch the child in order to prevent the evil eye and cure the condition. For healthcare disparities, discrimination as being associated with mental health issues such as depression, specifically along with anxiety, psychological distress. Some of these risks include poverty, feeling of isolation, and persecution. Racial discrimination has also been identified as a risk factor in the development of PTSD and maladaptive alcohol use. Alcohol consumption and drug comorbidities are also included because of the belief that alcohol consumption is a way of celebrating life and is therefore consumed in all aspects of life, and it contributes to the increased incidence of injuries such as motor vehicle accidents. Dual diagnoses are also common among males and consist primarily of alcohol disorders and a non-substance use disorders. And lastly, lifetime psychiatric disorders are more prevalent among Latino American women.
All right, hello. I am doing nursing implications and the biblical worldview for this culture. As we've learned, it's very important to incorporate culture into your nursing assessment and how you care for that patient in a unique way. This makes a big difference in their care, so you can incorporate the little things that's important to them that you may not have thought of initially because you are from a different culture. So as a nurse, since their primary language is Spanish, it's helpful to use a certified interpreter when you're speaking to them, because if you don't know their language, you can't get information that's really crucial across to them, so you want to use that resource your hospital has. So with them, also maintain respect and open body language, even when the interpreter is communicating with them, because you don't want to have a closed body language when you're there next to their interpreter, and so they seem like you're annoyed or you're not understanding them or not being respectful. Just always remain respectful and open so that they know that you're a support system for them and you are here to help them. Like my colleague said previously, they may not want to have the opposite sex care provider, such as a pregnant woman would not want a male OBGYN taking care of her. When you're there, family is very important to this culture, so you want to engage the family. You're going to want to talk to them about the care, incorporate the whole family in that plan, and telling them what's going on and everything like that. The male is usually the head of the household, which I believe was also previously mentioned by my colleagues, so you definitely want them to be consulted in the care and have them very involved in what's going on. You want to partner with the family since they are so involved in everything, and that can help you to get the best information and the best plan implemented for the patient so they can have the most success in the outcomes. They are present time oriented. This might cause difficulty with scheduling appointments, which was also previously mentioned, so they're going to want to focus on what's important right now, such as going to work or taking care of the family, and they may not view their appointments as the number one priority at the time, so you really want to stress how important it is being compliant with their care and making sure that everything is taken care of and they get the best opportunity to heal and have the best outcomes. So use short-term problem explanation and goals. Since they are present time oriented, you don't want to look too far into the future with achieving things because they're not going to want to focus on that yet. Like Carla said, they do like alternative therapies such as herbal remedies and their special caretakers that are specific to their religion, so to incorporate those is very important. And just have a conversation with the client about their illness and translate that to what their perception of it is for their certain culture so that they can fully understand where you're coming from and you can fully understand where they're coming from. So lastly, I'm going to talk about biblical worldview. Comparing it to our biblical worldview, it's pretty much the same. Most people in the Hispanic culture are Catholic, which is very, very similar to Christianity. Believe in God, you believe in Jesus Christ, and that's the main power that you believe in, that you pray to. One of the only differences is that they do have belief in saints in addition to God, and they pretty much believe in saints not as necessarily a part of God, but saints are someone that can be a protector and guider in their life and help them to get through hard circumstances in addition to praying to God and their whole religion of Catholicism. Alright, well, this is our presentation for the Hispanic culture. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening.